G'day boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Get Fit or Die Trying.
So here's another trial with no restricted signs, so let's go and suss it out.
G'day boys and girls, just back here once again at the beautiful Mt Bold Reservoir Reserve.
Hey, look out, Skip!
And today we're riding on trails that are technically restricted but also technically unrestricted due to the fact that there are no signs stating the obvious. Now you will find other signs around the perimeter off of the Wedgetail Trail saying that its public access is restricted and you need to be authorised and all that sort of thing. But look at these trails, what else are you going to do with them?
These are what the trails are made for.
Obviously there are fire tracks, forestry roads, they get used for those purposes, but 99% of the time they're underutilised. So in saying that, this whole Mt Bold Reservoir Reserve, with its at least 30 kilometres of perimeter track or boundary track, plus all the other sort of branch trails that veer off, down to the waterline, it's potentially an adventure rider's paradise. Now I would class these trails as intermediate skill level required. Now you'd need to be really fit obviously if you're a analogue rider and you're not using electric motors to help you or assist you with the climbs. That's where the e-mountain bikes really shine in this environment. You need to make sure that your bike's in tip-top condition, especially your brakes. So disc brakes, make sure you've got plenty of pads on there because there's lots of descending and you need to know how to use your brakes properly. You don't want to just ride them all the time, otherwise you're just going to burn them out. You need to pulse, let a bit of speed build up on your descent and then just sort of like grab the brakes towards the bottom before you need to make a turn. Always brake before your turns and slow the bike down so you don't lose grip, because some of the speeds you can get on these trails, if you come off, well, you're going to hurt yourself. Now you don't want to hurt yourself down in these parts here, because to get rescued in here it's going to take a bit of an effort. It's probably going to cost you a little bit, so make sure you got ambulance cover. So some of the other things that you want to consider before you go on this ride is that it's probably a 2 to 3 hour ride if you're riding an e-mountain bike. So if you're riding an analogue bike, perhaps add another 1 to 2 hours depending on how fit you are and how proficient you are at climbing, because there's going to be a lot of parts where you might stop, catch your breath, start again, etc. Maybe even hike the bike, push the bike up hills and all that sort of stuff. So be prepared. It's probably going to be an all-day adventure if you're on a normal bike. Now, some of the things you want to consider is, download a GPS map of the area or the route that you've planned for offline access where the phone coverage isn't great, because all the peaks and valleys in here, the 4G coverage, if you go and look at the Telstra coverage map, you can see that it's a bit sketchy. The other thing is you want to make sure that you're obviously skilled enough to be able to handle fast descents and steep climbs, alright? So, the speed can build up quite a bit, as I was talking about with the brakes. You don't want to be just using the brakes continuously and burning them out and then not having any stopping power. So you want to be, reasonably confident at speed and also at stopping your mountain bike before you can, veer off a off-camber turn or into a tree or something like that. So yeah, make sure your bike's in good working order, especially your brakes. Make sure your e-bike's got a fully charged battery. Use your high power mode sparingly. Try not to just use up all the high power modes too quick. You want to save some for the ride, especially on the climbs. Take some tools and some spares for your bike, whether it's tubes or puncture repair kits or things like that.
Whoa, look at this one. Wow. Looks worse as you're coming down the other side.
Now, as you can see, there are some little short, punchy descents and climbs, but there are also a lot of really, really big, long descents and climbs as well, as you'll see further along in this video. It's the kind of place that you really want to probably go on an e-bike, unless you're super fit and you've got really strong legs and you don't mind maybe hiking a bike for a little bit. If I was to ride a normal bike down here, I'd probably want to get here as soon as the gates open in the morning, which is 7 or 8 a.m, I'm not quite sure. And then, spend the whole day. Give yourself enough time to get through it, because, yeah, you don't want to try and rush this thing at the end of the day and then get stuck in there, because I mean you just end up having to lift your bike over fences to get out, and also you don't have any staff on site to help you out if you need it.
This is pretty much the same kind of terrain as up at Mount Crawford, up around the South Power Reservoir. And you can get in all around there and ride, no worries.
Yeah, so if you've been down to the South Power Reservoir there just before Williamstown, you can go on the sort of signposted trail, but there's many other trails that veer off. You can go in amongst the forest there, Kersbrook Forest maybe, it's sort of Mount Crawford area. I think you can even link up to Mount Crawford, and there's just loads and loads of tracks. So a very similar kind of terrain with your you know, long descents and long climbs and that sort of thing. Now you won't normally encounter vehicles along here except possibly SA Water vehicles. That one there was an SA Water vehicle, so I'm not sure what he was up to, but yeah, they're very underutilised. You're not going to encounter really any traffic on here, and if they're about to do any sort of work, you know, I would think that they'd have signs up to advise you and put detours in place or things like that. So as you can see, there's sort of some previous fire damage around the place here and there. We're sort of looking over towards Scott Creek, Bradbury area to the right. So a fire went through there about a year or so ago.
Wow, this is awesome up here. Oh wow, have a look at that. Let's stop here and have a look at the views for a minute. This is what I'm talking about. So you got that trail there, which looks like it just cuts through and follows the power lines there.
First we have to cross the thing, and then we're going to go up that one.
Oh, we cross the river again?
We have to cross the river.
Oh, okay.
It's about this deep.
Okay.
Get wet through.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's send it.
So coming across probably our first mega long descent. So you could really carry some speed along here. There's a bit of a turn on there. It comes up a little bit further on, and as you can see, it sort of continues across to the right and then back up and around to the left a little bit. That big trail on the left there is basically where we're heading. So just let the bike gather speed, and while you're still pointing the bike straight, before you get to a crest, perhaps apply your brakes. Obviously before you enter a turn like this, try not to have your front brake on too hard in a turn like that. If you've got your back brake on too hard, you're probably going to lose your back end a little bit, so just be very mindful of that. And then it's climbing, and some of the trails have got a little bit of a sandy surface, quite soft. It's not all just, you know, hard packed gravel. Some of it, like I say, is quite loose and rocky. You might even come across, you know, baby head size sort of rocks or boulders and that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, make sure that you've got decent tyres, nice strong sidewall, bit of rim protection perhaps, depending on the pressures that you're running. I was probably running, you know, around about your sort of 20 to 30 psi. It was a bit hard to say because I just actually inserted some Tannis tyre armour that runs a tube at a really low pressure, but the tyre itself feels a bit harder. It's hard to explain. But yeah, knobbly tyres, definitely. You don't want to be running sort of slick tyres. You definitely need the grip, especially in the turns. And also in the climbs, you know, there's lots of steep climbs. One in particular, which is on the Wedgetail Trail that we'll come across eventually. And yeah, you're definitely going to want some grip on there. Definitely a nemesis. I've actually named it the Nemesis climb because, yeah, I don't think I'm going to ever be able to conquer it unless I really, really, you know, dig deep. It's just, yeah, it is absolutely crazy. So we're coming down into the descent in towards the Onkaparinga River, where there is a bit of a river crossing. You go across a concrete causeway or a ford, you know, so you actually ride through the water. And it's quite picturesque down here actually. It's, yeah, take a look at that, it's bloody beautiful.
Wow. How nice is this? Look at that. Untapped. Have a look, this is bloody beautiful here.
How is it, right? In winter when I came through here, this was deep.
Did you go through it?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It was hub height.
Right. That's motor height.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my motor was under. Righto, you ready?
Alrighty.
Just nice and easy.
So you know, this is the kind of thing that you'd experience, say, up in the Flinders Ranges, you know, although probably not so much with the concrete. It's generally a rocky sort of riverbed, but yeah, it wasn't a slippery surface underneath. It was there was no slipping going on. Just kept a really steady flow with the pedals so that I didn't, you know, sort of splash all the water over my shoes. Try to keep dry feet. Yeah, because there's nothing worse than riding around in soggy socks, mate, in soggy shoes.
I didn't get any come over the top into my socks, so that was good. Just a sprinkle, just on the right hand side, but other than that, it was pretty good. Go through there at speed, I'm sure you'll cop it. I've seen that one from the map, and I was always wondering, how deep is that there?
So yeah, I did a lot of studying on the maps, especially, you know, Google satellite maps and that sort of thing. I also use a program or an app called Ride with GPS, which you can access maps on your phone or on your desktop browser, and there's all these different layers which you can go into and see certain tracks, topography, and satellite views and that sort of stuff. And yeah, you often see where the trail might go through a bit of a watercourse, and it's always a little bit unnerving. You just don't know, like there's no street view, there's no Google Street View that goes down there and shows you what the actual surface is like, you know. You can only sort of zoom down so far. So it's good to know that you can ride through that. But yeah, during winter time, it'd be a little bit more testy, I'd say, especially on an e-bike. Just be a bit worried about the electrics.
So really all they're doing with these roads is just maintaining them for fire access. Other than that, they're not really being used so much.
Yeah, so that's right. I mean, you know, other than the fire tracks during the fire season, which you want to keep them open, you know, obviously on fireband days, total fireband days, you wouldn't be able to get into places like this. And, you know, when they've got major works going on, I guess, where there'd be lots of trucks or something. But, you know, this side of the reservoir, which is pretty much the northern and the eastern side, there's not a lot of pine trees, so there wouldn't be much pine forestry, you know, logging going on. That's more on the southern side. This side, and the majority of the place, to be honest, is more or less just a gum tree, or, you know, like a natural gum tree forest with scrub and that sort of thing. So yeah, you might as well put them to use by doing this sort of stuff, you know, adventure cycling and hiking and all that sort of thing. Now, one of the things that would be great for our government to implement is what the Victorian government have done. If you go onto their Visiting State Forests website, they've actually got an app for Android and iPhone, and you know, they've got all the things in there that you can look at, which basically give you all the ins and outs of accessing the 3.1 million hectares of state forest that they've got. We obviously don't have that many hectares of state forest to access, but you know, Victoria obviously have a lot more, and because of that fact, you know, they've got a bit more of an advanced how can you call it, infrastructure, you know, as far as all their signs, the apps, the maps. You know, you've got things on there where you can save your favourite tracks. You can look up things like, what are the grades of the tracks, you know, are they for riding, you know, are they for hiking, horse riding, are they green trails, blues, blacks, stuff like that, where there's going to be phone coverage or not. You can download the maps inside the app and use them to navigate with via GPS, which is really good. You can record your own tracks and save them. You've also got an emergency location function in there. You know, it's all in one package, which is really, really good. So it'd be great to see if, you know, our government can get their act together and put something like that together as well.
All right, well, 2468. The only way is up.
So what we're doing now is we're basically climbing to the summit of Mt Bold. We found it on the map and we thought, well, we can either go down and around, or we can climb up here and check out what the views are like. So that's what we're doing.
Well, there you go. Doable. Didn't seem as bad as I thought it was going to be. Oh, look at that. Oh, going to stop here for a tick. Pretty much all downhill from here, isn't it, until we get to that climb.
So this is another one of those long descents as you come down from the summit of Mt Bold. Just want to be wary. It's good surface. It's a dolomite gravel surface, so it is quite grippy. But yeah, obviously make sure you do all your braking before you get into your turns, and try not to burn your brakes out. Just, you know, let the bike carry a bit of speed, and then use the brakes sparingly but forcefully without locking up the wheels. So at this point here, we're basically making our way towards Mt Bold Road. We're sort of back to ground level now, and we just got through the gates there and basically back onto the Wedgetail Trail now. So we're about to hit up the Nemesis climb. So we'll cut to that in a tick and you'll be able to check it out. It's pretty gnarly.
Well, g'day boys and girls, back here again on the Wedgetail Trail. Now this time I'm here with the big rooster, Robbie, and we're going to try and, well, it's going to be my second attempt. I guess it's going to be your second attempt too, yeah? Yeah, so we're going to have a go at this climb, which is loose and rocky. Has one part there which is 37%, and yeah, it's very, very hard. I came the other day and had a few stops, a few pushes. Today I'm running Tannis tyre armour with low pressures, so I'm hoping that not so much with the front but with the back, that I can get a bit more purchase on the rocks, and yeah, see if I can minimise the amount of stops required, because yeah, she's bloody steep, mate. Very, very steep. Just had a really big adventure, and we're coming towards probably, I don't know, more than 3/4 into our ride, and yeah, we've saved the best till last, mate. So I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, she's pretty steep. Cameras don't really do it justice, but anyway, see you out in the trail. Yo! Okie dokie, so rested, fueled up, and about to tackle Wedgetail climb. Second attempt. I'm wondering whether I should go down and I think that'll be alright, actually. I think that'll be alright. I'm going to whack it in turbo and just try and let the motor do the work where I can, and then concentrate a bit more on putting down the correct line. Basically, trying to get a good line, because line choice is definitely a key, especially with the fact that the front wheel is very light and it's just wanting to point you off into the side, into the bushes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm expecting to hit a rock somewhere and spin out. Yeah,
that's more than likely what will happen, but yeah. Alright.
Anyway, I'll see you at the top.
Alright, turbo mode.
You'll be fully rested by the time I get there, panting.
Actually,
like
I might just go back here and start back. Alright. Alright. Yeah, I'm on 50 exactly. Oh. And you can feel that turbo power is just mental. So it might be too much. Already the front wheel is wanting to go elsewhere. Whoa! Hey, I just flipped out in turbo. That is gnarly. That is gnarly. If you can get up this bit, mate, you're doing better than me. Go for the middle, or yeah, nah. It's not happening at this point here. It just doesn't want to happen. I couldn't keep my front wheel down. It just wanted to flip up. What I'm going to do, I might even go back down and have another crack. I just want to see if I can get past this bit, but I think maybe that side there, where you are, there's some loose rock there. We'll just kick that out of the way, but it's not as loose. There's, yeah, I don't know if it's doable at this point.
Well,
that is crazy.
That line there, hard attack. But the thing is, you go so light in the front end.
Yeah. So I'm going to try eMTB. Turbo was just a bit too much. I don't know if it's actually doable. I think it's actually beyond me, beyond physics, because the back wheel was spinning a bit, getting a bit loose, and I'm trying to keep my weight forward on the front of my seat. So we're not going with turbo at this point. Oh shit! Couldn't even get past there. Nah, pretty much, a little bit less actually. It just got too steep here. Okay, walk mode engaged. I don't know how you could get up it on the bike. It's just way too steep, that bit. Could maybe clear a few rocks out the way on that harder pack line, but still, the front wheel starts coming up, and that's what's going to get you. It's going to flip you out. So I'm going to have a start there where you are. I'll just catch my breath. Well, I can see some rocks there that are going to be my nemesis. This is where I restarted again the other day. I think turbo's going to be way too much power. I don't know even about tour, maybe even tour, because it will give me full power when I want it. But I guess, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to try it. I just don't know about getting around these two bits here. Important in the wrong direction. Oh. Oh, shit. Right, a bit more higher power mode. Oh man, I've got to stop only because I'm rooted. Oh my god, that is a killer. That is a killer. If I had the stamina, well, I could have kept on going. It actually sort of levels out a bit here, then it gets steeper again just up there. But yeah, the lungs, you know, the lungs can't keep up. Can't keep up with the legs. Can't supply enough oxygen. That is a hill climb. I think it's a category 5 as far as the hiking gradients go, according to the map on SA Waters Reservoirs SA website. And I can't see Robbie yet, he's obviously still pushing. Let's try and attempt to go to the top without stopping. Oh, I can hear Rob. Is he pedalling? I don't know. we are gluttons for punishment, but this is really where you can put your e-bike to the test, and your fitness and your riding skills. It is a super techie climb. It's not extremely techie. Obviously the rocks aren't huge boulders that you need to get across, but lots of loose stuff, you know, baby heads, stuff like that. Yes, he's not for the faint-hearted. Oh man, I just ran out of breath, dude. I was like, I reckon I could have kept on going if I had the stamina. It's just crazy. I thought I was going to lose it a few times back there, but I managed to get it into turbo, and just when I felt tired, let the turbo pull it, but it just couldn't get me any further. But I started off in tour, and I found that good. It didn't leap me out straight away, you know. It was. So I'm going to do the same here. All right, let's try again. Let's go. All right, eMTB. Now turbo, just to take a bit of strain off the legs. Across here a bit. Up here a bit. Oh, keep pointing. Concentrate on the line. Everything looks good. Okay, seat up a bit. Oh. Let the motor do the work. Oh. Oh my God. That is super tough, man. Oh. I think I did better than last time. Only by about one stop. I managed to get 3 pretty good riding stints in. First one was fairly short because you got to that real gnarly bit. But then the second time, and then the third time, it was all good. Oh. And here we are on the other side now. Dam wall over there. There's that other marker we were just at before. This place is awesome. Why they just don't open up the rest of these trails and give access to people like us is just beyond me. It's just phenomenal riding through here. Absolutely phenomenal. It's just perfect for adventure cycling.
Oh, there's another lookout.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, for them to, you know, lock everyone out of all these other trails here, I just think is a ridiculous situation when you've got all this pristine area for exploring. That is probably during the winter you might struggle getting through the Onkaparinga down there, that little that little causeway or that fjord. But other than that, mate, fantastic riding, proper adventure riding.
Well, anyway guys, we're going to leave you here. We basically just completed a bit of the forest loop and heading through some other trails in amongst the pine forest on our way back up towards the Wedgetail Trail. Then it's going to be back across through Kaipo or Rocky Creek over towards Rob's place for a well-earned rest. So hope you enjoyed the video. Taking on all the tips and hints. If you've got any for me, you can leave them in the comments. Any questions? And if you really like this kind of riding, I'd urge you to put the pressure on your politicians in your local area to get these areas opened up for greater public access so that we can all enjoy these kind of activities, which are great for fitness, mental health, and more positives than negatives I can think of. So yeah, get out there and do it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Ta-da! Ha ha ha!